Welcome everybody. My name is Andrea Miller and I'm a registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator here at community hospitals and wellness centers. And today I have Dr. Bell with me. He's graciously agreed to be my sous chef for Live It AM. Hopefully a lot of you are familiar with Dr. Bell. He's actually the medical director at the Montpelier facility, the CHWC Montpelier branch rehab. My mom would be mad for not getting that right, but yeah. And so how long have you been in that position?
Just over 2 years, about 2.5 now. 2.5
years, and before that, most of you are probably familiar with his role as a family practice provider. So
I was in the Montpelier Medical Group for 34 years.
That's a long time. So you call yourself semi-retired now. So
yes. Part-time job. Part-time.
So today he's going to be helping me to prepare some breakfast items. We're going to do a homemade turkey sausage and then also a breakfast burrito. In our breakfast burrito, we're going to actually use the turkey sausage in the burrito, and then we're going to also use some interesting ingredients. We're going to use sweet potatoes and peppers in the breakfast burrito as well. And there's a couple of reasons why I chose this breakfast burrito. As you will see on your recipe, you'll see that it's actually called a freezer burrito because this is a great quick breakfast that you can make ahead of time and freeze the burritos all wrapped up and ready to go. When you want to eat them, pull them out of the freezer, wrap it in a paper towel, pop it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and you're ready to go. So I can see a couple different scenarios where these would be great recipes, or the burrito would be a great recipe. If you have kids and you're rushing to get out the door in the morning, like I do a lot of times, so a quick and easy breakfast that you just have to pop in the microwave is a great option. Or I also work with a lot of people that may live on their own, and one of the common complaints that I get is cooking for one is just such a struggle. I don't want to eat leftovers all week long. I don't, want to eat processed foods all the time. It's a pain to just cook for one person, so what are my options? So this is a great option for that type of person because you can obviously freeze them and then, eat them over a longer period of time. And again, it's a quick and easy meal, great for breakfast, but also great for any time of the day, lunch, dinner. So let's get started. Let's get our sweet potatoes cooking. So here's where the fun stuff comes in. So Dr. Bell told me that he likes food, but not so much of a chef.
I'm not a chef. No claims thereof.
So
you have me out of my element 100%.
So I am going to be instructing him as we go. But I can see as a physician, you don't have a lot of time to be cooking.
I do like procedures and I like knives, so that should be good.
All right. Well, let's get Dr. Bell with the chef knife. All right. So I gave you the pepper. So you can just go ahead and cut the pepper in half and take out the seeds. All right, he's doing great so far. And you'll probably just need half the pepper actually, because we just need a half of a cup. I'm actually gonna. So we need the pepper in actually, I'm going to take that back. So just cut it in a thick dice. We're just going to use half the pepper. Okay. So kind of like a thick dice. How do you describe a thick dice? 1/2-inch cube, sort of. So, and while he's doing that, I'm going to get started on the sweet potato, and I'm going to get the burner going. We're actually going to cook the sweet potato for a couple minutes longer than we are the peppers, just because the sweet potatoes are going to take a little bit longer to cook. You need 1.5 cups of the sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are kind of hard to cut through sometimes. And to make it safer, since it was kind of hard, my chef knife might be a little dull, I'm going to, I cut off a flat side and I'm laying it flat to make it a little bit more stable so it's not rolling all over the place. And then I'm just going to cut strips. And see, you're already done, and I'm still over here chopping. That looks great, by the way. Now, if you could maybe drizzle a little bit of olive oil in the pan. So I have about a half of a tablespoon of olive oil. Of course, I didn't tell you that before you got started, but that looks perfect, actually. It looks perfect. So an olive oil is a heart-healthy type of fat. So I guess I could give you a couple sweet potato cubes here. We can get you started.
You're expanding my job.
I know. You did so well with the pepper. We'll get you started on some sweet potatoes. So a knife tutorial, something that I like to do with a knife is I always point the tip of my knife into the cutting board and just kind of rack it back. And it makes it kind of go really smooth.
You do have someone to suture me up when I cut myself, right?
Well, the ER is not far away. And we are smoking a little bit here. That gets hot fast. Holy cow. I typically do. The skin has a ton of fiber and some nutrients in it. So anytime that you can leave the skin on your fruits or vegetables, it's a good choice. And we had this, just scrub them really well. This was washed for me in our kitchen. At least I hope it was. So, it looks washed. It feels washed. So,
all of this just goes in?
Let's just, well, yeah, go ahead. We'll put it all in. Why not? So we have 1.5 cups of sweet potatoes and a 1/2 cup of green pepper. You could really use any type of pepper, but green peppers are often a little bit less expensive, and I like the contrast of the orange to the green in this recipe. So, but feel free to use any type of pepper, or if you don't like peppers and want to use onions instead, that's also a really good option. You could kind of play with this recipe a little bit and use different vegetables. So you just need about 2 cups of them. Okay, so we're kind of going to let those cook, and I'll have Dr. Bell kind of give those a stir on occasion. So, and now we're going to get started on our turkey sausage. So who doesn't love sausage and bacon and ham and all those salty processed meats? Unfortunately, that's what they are, salty processed meats, and the research tells us that those foods aren't so good for us. So I'm a Polish girl, you know. My dad actually was born in Germany and came over here from Germany when he was just a couple months old. So I have, you know, a strong Polish heritage, and sausage is a big part of that. So it's hard for me to reduce my processed meat intake, and making your own at home is one great way to do that. So we have a lean turkey here. This is actually 99% lean ground turkey. I think in the recipe I assumed like a 93% lean, but you know, any ground turkey would be fine that you can find, and we have a pound of it. So we're going to go ahead and add all of our spices. So let's see if I get this right. This is sage. 1/4 teaspoon each of all of these spices. So 1/4 teaspoon of sage, 1/4 teaspoon of ground fennel, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic. I don't need to smell that one. That one looks that one looks like garlic. And then 1/4 teaspoon of rosemary. And this is ground rosemary, but really you could use the whole rosemary as well. Actually, I guess I don't see it ground very often in the store. And then we have some thyme. And then we are going to add a little bit of salt and as much pepper as you want. So we have a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. But again, if you like pepper, feel free to add more. I like my sausage spicy. I don't know about you, but do you like spicy foods?
Yes,
Are you a spicy food fan?
Not as long as they're not nuclear.
Okay.
Yeah. Spicy, yes. Nuclear,
a little spicy,
no.
not too much spice. Okay. So another good addition to this, if you like the spicier sausages, putting a little bit of crushed red pepper flakes, so that's optional on your recipe, that would be a great addition to this. And then the salt, I'm going to double check my measurement. I had a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And the nutrition facts that you have in front of you for this recipe do assume a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And even with a ½ teaspoon of salt in here, I think it gives it plenty of salty flavor, and it's much lower in sodium than the traditional regular pork sausage, and also quite a bit lower than the turkey sausage that you would buy in the store. So we're really, even though we added salt to this, we're still lowering the sodium intake of a traditional sausage. So I'm actually going to give you this. Well, I guess I can do it. Well, no, I'm going to
You're going to make me multitask?
I'm going to make you multitask.
Oh,
You're a physician. You have to be able to multitask, right? And I'm going to get the burner going. I'll help you out a little bit. We'll see how these are looking. I turned the heat down and now it's not hot enough. This is a fickle. Okay. Right, so those are cooking away. The sausage smells great. Can you guys smell the spices yet? Probably they have to start cooking, but that's looking good. Usually what we would do for the sausage to let the flavors incorporate into the meat, cover it up and stick it in the refrigerator for at least a few hours, if not overnight. So this is something I would usually do ahead of time, but you don't want to sit here overnight and listen to me talk. So we're just going to go ahead and cook it up today for you. Okay, so we have that going. I'm going to add a tiny bit of oil to our sausage pan. This is 99% lean, so we're not going to get any help from the meat on this. So I'm just going to add a little bit of oil to keep it from sticking to the pan. And again, I like the olive oil. It's too hot. It's not hot enough. We just can't get it right. Looks good though. We're starting to get a little bit of a brown. We just want to make sure that they're tender to go in our burritos. Looking good. Okay, then the sausage looks great. So I think we'll go ahead and we'll add this to the pan. And I'm going to put you in charge of making sure nothing gets burnt today.
Like living on the edge, eh?
Now, it hasn't happened yet. We haven't had any smoke detectors go off yet, but, you know.
Yeah.
The day when Dr. Bell's here,
yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't happen. All right. So the meat, you just kind of want to break up with your spoon. Just like you would like a hamburger. I'm sure most of you in the room have browned meat before. So we're just browning the meat and kind of making it into crumbles. Could you form it into patties? Was that a question that somebody asked? Yeah, absolutely, you could. I think, actually, this is the recipe that we serve here in the kitchen. And they actually have a separate recipe for the patties and the crumbles. And the recipe with the patties actually has some whipped egg whites in it to kind of help stick it together. But I really think that this would stick together in a patty just fine if you were to just use this recipe. If you have a hard time with it sticking together, maybe try to add some whipped egg whites or just some egg to it to help it stay together. But I think it would be fine as is. Yeah, and you can. I'm glad that I added the oil. It definitely needed a little bit of oil added. So it's starting to brown. Is that looking tender? The vegetables tender yet? Not quite.
Not quite. I think
Still working on it. And you can always add more oil, as you go if it's starting to, stick or look a little bit dry. Which I might do because it's just, this is lean
Yeah.
turkey. Another tip, if it was sticking, you could always add a little bit of water to the meat to keep it from sticking a little bit. Just a splash of water. I've done that in the past. You're thinking, so you went through all this effort to go buy the leanest meat that you could, and now it's sticking to the pan, so you're adding fat. What? but we're actually adding a healthy fat.
Yeah, that's
so
good. That's good.
Takes a little time to break up the meat. I believe the extra virgin olive oil is going to have more antioxidants than just the regular olive oil. But I believe that extra virgin olive oil also has a lower smoke point. So if you're going to be doing any high heat cooking, you may be better just using a regular olive oil. I kind of reserve my really good olive oils for like salad dressings or anywhere that I'm going to be eating the food raw. So the olive oil is raw in the recipe and not, you're not cooking off or hurting some of the antioxidants through the heating process. So that is starting to look good. I'm going to turn down the heat just a tiny bit and just kind of let that cook a little bit. How are our sweet potatoes? And again, the color looks great. And that color, a lot of times, and I've said this before, but I think it's worth saying again, the sweet potatoes and the peppers, the fact that they're different colors means that they have different nutrients in them. So, often we say eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. The color way to be cheesy. So eat different colors of fruits and vegetables every day to get the most benefit. Now, you said 34 years of being a family practice doctor. How often would you say that your patients were eating 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day?
Rare.
Rare. I don't see that very often as a dietitian. So we all need to work on eating more fruits and vegetables. And is that something that you would encourage your patients to do?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
the data of the last decade has been pretty profound.
Right. Absolutely. So we're going to let those keep going just a tiny bit more, and we're going to get started on our eggs. So this is going to have like a scrambled egg in with our breakfast burrito. So how do you do it cracking eggs?
Actually, I'm halfway decent.
He's halfway decent at cracking eggs, so we're going to crack some eggs. Right in there. And if you get a shell, we can always, scoop it out, so don't worry too much about that. In with our scrambled eggs, we're going to use some milk, and I just have some basic, I guess this is fat-free milk, but you could use any milk that you have, any percentage. Wow, you are a great egg cracker.
I've had practice at this.
So, are you a breakfast person?
Yes.
And what's your favorite breakfast to eat?
Today was an omelet, cheese omelet.
Oh, very good. So kind of, a similar. And did you make the omelet, or?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, those look good. He made the omelet, and that's why you're so good at cracking eggs, because you practiced this morning.
I watched Phil's show from a few weeks ago. I knew I couldn't come into this unskilled.
I'm glad that you took the time to prepare. You did a great job. And I'm going to have you hand me the glass bowl right on top of there. So we are going to dump our vegetables into the bowl, because now we're going to use it for the eggs. There's a couple more in there. Okay. All right, so we have all the eggs cracked. Now I'm going to have you dump the cheese in. So we have a 1/4 cup of cheddar cheese, but you could really use any type of cheese in there that you wanted. Pepper jack, Monterey Jack would also be really good. And then the milk, which I started talking about, but then got distracted by something. So a 1/4 cup of milk goes in there. And then we're just going to whisk it all together. And I think my sausage turned off while I was talking. So eggs, you know, have the pendulum on whether eggs are good for us or not has really gone back and forth over the years. I have people that are, you know, fearful of eating eggs due to their cholesterol content, and then people that eat tons and tons of eggs because of, you know, their rich nutrient content.
I choose to believe they're good for you right now.
You choose to believe they're good for you. Well, and actually, the most recent dietary guidelines for America, they've actually removed cholesterol as a nutrient of concern. So that's promising. You know, I guess with eggs, our recommendation as far as dietitians, we've kind of like scratched our head and said, I don't know whether they're good for us or not. So what we usually say is like 3 to 4 eggs a week, or even 7, you know, up to 7 eggs a week would probably be acceptable, or an egg a day, or a couple eggs every other day would probably be an acceptable amount. You know, you can't deny that eggs have a lot of really awesome nutrients in them. They're a great source of complete protein. They have lots of vitamins and minerals. Vitamin D is in the egg yolk, which is the part we're supposed to stay away from because it has a lot of cholesterol in it. But it's actually the yolk that has a lot of the nutrients in it. And it also has a special nutrient called choline. And I actually did some research on choline this morning because it's not something that you talk a lot about when you're in school. It's actually neither a vitamin or a mineral, I learned. It's a nutrient, and it's often grouped with the B vitamins, but it's not a B vitamin apparently. But it has a lot of important functions in our body. It helps with normal cell function, so that's cool. And it also helps with like brain development for infants. So, you know, babies not too young, you know, 6 months and up, you know, could be eating eggs to help with that. Or pregnant or breastfeeding moms, you know, should be eating eggs. Actually, I learned that pregnant moms are often at risk of deficiency because they need so much extra choline during their pregnancy. So, something interesting. Other people that are at risk for choline deficiency would be endurance athletes. So I'm an endurance athlete, or at least I was before I had kids. So marathoners and so forth. Add a little bit more oil to that, actually. So eggs are a great source of choline. I think 1 egg provides 20 to 25% of our daily value of choline. So. All right, this chicken is kind of, or turkey, I'm sorry, turkey. It is turkey, but that brings up a good point. You could also swap out chicken in this recipe. So, ground chicken. Okay, I'm kind of going to let that sit there and cook for a second more while we get started on our scrambled eggs. I'm going to add a little bit more oil, about 1/2 teaspoon. Get this heating up. Kind of swirl. It doesn't like it when I take the pan off. It gets mad and beeps at me. Okay, this is actually like an infrared skillet, I guess, and it requires a special skillet on it, and it heats up very quickly, actually. So we can go ahead and dump the eggs in. Dr. Bell, we have learned today, is our egg expert.
Now, I've got to tell you.
At least at cracking it.
I've got to tell you a true story about the whisk, so you'll know how unskilled I am.
Okay.
And unknowledgeable.
Let's hear his true story.
Probably about 20 years ago, we had friends over. my wife left the kitchen and her girlfriend said, "Could you get me a whisk?" And I had no idea why she wanted me to go get her a laundry whisk. That was a teaching moment.
Now you know that there's laundry whisk and...
Yeah. Well, since then I've made some progress.
That's great. All right, so now Dr. Bell knows what a whisk is. All right. So scrambled eggs, I'm going to turn up the heat just a tiny bit more. They're working. They're not starting to cook on the edge.
That's my cue that I need to do something.
Yeah, so they're not starting to cook on the edge, so we're just waiting. What else can I say about eggs? We're kind of focusing on eggs today. They're inexpensive. It's estimated that they're about 17 cents per serving, so per egg, so that's cheap. That's a cheap source of protein. And protein tends to be pretty expensive, so, something's happening there. Another comment on eggs. Eggs aren't processed. Eggs have one ingredient, eggs. So if you're trying to cut back on processed foods, eggs might be a good option. Definitely a better option than like a sugary breakfast food, like a donut or some type of pastry.
Those aren't health foods?
Maybe on occasion, in moderation. That's my motto: on occasion, in moderation. And those eggs are looking good. He's doing better at eggs than I am. He's great. Those look like excellent scrambled eggs.
You don't want to do it?
I told you were in charge of that. I'm actually going to give it a second more maybe. Just wait for the right moment. It's like the what vegetable, canned vegetable commercial. They're watching the vegetables grow and then they're like, okay, now. Pick them now. Now I'm going to turn it off. And then we're going to add the rest of our goodies into the burrito. So we need a cup of the sausage. Make a good scoop here. So I'm going to dump that in and you can keep stirring. I like to double this recipe. Like I said, it freezes well, but I think it's stupid just to cook and freeze it. If you're going to spend the time cooking, double the recipe, have it, one night for dinner, and then, make the rest into burritos and freeze them, so that way you have multiple meals. And then we're going to add our vegetables back in. And now this next step I've heard makes the mixture look gross because I guess the color combination. But we're actually going to add salsa into the whole mix. The salsa is going to add some moisture and a lot of wonderful flavor. I don't think it looks bad. I don't know.
I think it looks good.
I think it looks good. I'd eat it. So that's our burrito mixture. So I'm just going to kind of clear everything off here. And then we're going to build. Actually, I can some tortillas. I'm going to move my sausage. These are actually pretty pliable. Pliable tortillas, but you can, if you want to heat your tortilla up a little bit, just pop them in a skillet for a couple seconds, and I'm going to have you grab our plates over there. You're going to make a burrito, and I'm going to make a burrito.
Okay. I would eat yours because yours would be better, right?
I don't know. You did the eggs. You did an excellent job with those. So, and you just need to heat them for a couple seconds on each side, just to kind of soften them up a little bit. And I use my hands probably more than I should in the kitchen for things like that.
It's your kitchen, you're allowed.
I guess so. So and that makes them a little bit more pliable, so they fold a little bit better. So. Take that one. Take that side a little bit. Now I like to use 100% whole wheat tortillas. 100% whole grains are the way to go for overall health, more fiber, more nutrients. I guess as far as brand goes, there's one brand that I found that I really like lately. It has 11 grams of fiber per tortilla and only 50 calories. So it's called Extreme Wellness Tortilla, and I think I found it at Walmart, but I'm sure you could find it at Chief too. Or I'm not sure, but maybe you could. So most grocery stores probably have it. So that looks great. A big flame going there. And then you need about a half of a cup of filling in each burrito. You don't want to do too much or you won't be able to wrap it. So I'll let you scoop yours. So this is a really balanced meal any time of the day. We have a good complete protein, we have vegetables, whole grains, dairy. The only thing we're missing here is fruit, but I don't know that I would want to put fruit in the burrito, but maybe serving it on the side would be a good option for a side dish. So now to fold up the burrito, you're going to take 2 of the sides and fold them in like that, and then just kind of wrap it up and make sure that all the fillings are tucked inside. And then there you go. You have a perfect little burrito here. I'm actually going to take my chef knife and cut it open so that you can see what it looks like all wrapped up. So, perfect. Great. Looks excellent. This is Dr. Bell's burrito. Perfect. He followed directions very well. That looks awesome.
Very good. Very good.
So again, to freeze these, what I did, I got out a cookie sheet, and you can either line it with parchment paper, or lately I've been into like the silicone baking mats. You just don't want it to stick to the cookie sheet. The moisture could cause it to stick, so I line it with something. I lay them in a single layer on that cookie sheet, and then I cover it. I covered mine with a second silicone baking mat. I've been into sustainability lately, so those are reusable. And then I put them in my freezer for about 2 hours or longer if you want, and that kind of flash freezes them because I want those baking mats and that cookie sheet back before I eat those burritos. So once they're flash frozen, you can transfer them into a freezer bag or any reusable container for longer storage. And I would estimate that they would last up to about 3 months in the refrigerator, if not longer. They won't go bad if you store them longer than that. They might just get a freezer burn taste. So yeah, that's it. Does anybody have any questions for me or Dr. Bell today? You guys are quiet today. Well, thank you all so much for coming, and thank you so much, Dr. Bell, for joining me today.